everyone, it's Justine, and I'm super excited to be a part of the cherished new release from Simon Says Stamps Blog Hop. I have 3 really fun cards to show you, and I'll have the link below in the video description if you want to head over to the Blog Hop where they're giving away a ton of prizes. Let's start with the first card here. I'm taking the Floral Sparkle die from Simon Says Stamp and I'm placing it onto a card panel that measures 4 by 5¼ inches. I want to leave enough room on the side there so that I have enough adhesive to be able to glue this down afterwards. So I'm leaving about 1/2 inch. I send that through my die cutting machine and it cut beautifully with all the small pieces falling out with no issues. That's pretty good considering my cutting plates are in pretty bad shape at the moment. I'm going to be using this really great stamp called Thoughtful Messages, also by Simon Says Stamp, and it's really great because it has thank you sentiments, love sentiments, it's got a birthday sentiment, so it's really one of those great sentiment stamps that you can have in your stash that'll be good for any occasion. I never seem to have any birthday cards in my stash, so I wanted to make a couple. So I am going to stamp this in some VersaFine ink, and it's my favorite, it's black onyx ink because it gives me really crisp sentiments. I'm going to put that off to the side and grab a card base. It measures 11 by 4¼ inches and I'm folding it over at 5½ inches using a bone folder. Because my card panel is slightly smaller than my card base, I want to make sure I preserve that white frame around my card base, so I am taking some post-it tape from 3M and protecting the area. Then I'm going alongside my area with some Versamark ink, and this is going to create a sort of adhesive or sticky texture onto my cardstock that is perfect for holding these perfect pearls. Perfect pearls are really great because they come in all sorts of colors, they're really inexpensive, and they last forever. So I'm putting down this powder here, and I'm not really worrying about using too much at this point because, to be honest with you, I've had these for years and I'm still not even done half the container. I'm being sure to use a pinkish purple, blue, a green, and then finally a darker purple on this card. So I'm just going through and adding the powder, and you kind of want to make sure your brush is clean in between because you can contaminate and get a muddy color, but overall I didn't have any issues. I'm just going to lay down the last color here, and then I'm going to brush away any excess powder. I was thinking of going up and down, but I thought that would be a bad idea to mix all those colors. As you can see, the powder sticks only to the Versamark ink that I put down. Really cool. In order to set this, you can spritz some water in the air and drag your cardstock through it. I'm not really concerned about that though because of the fact that so little of these perfect pearls are going to be showing. So I'm grabbing my Tombow Mono liquid adhesive and I'm adding quite a bit of adhesive, more than I usually use, but I really want this to lay flat onto my card. And I'm sticking this onto the front. Now I have this very subtle look to the shine, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. At this point, I find no card can be complete with some Nuvo drops, so I'm using the jewel ones. Since these are transparent, they're not going to overwhelm the card, and they're really just going to accent the colors that are on the side. What I really like about them too is if you make a mistake, you can wipe it off and just add something on top. They don't stain the cardstock at all. There's the shine for you, and it looks really gorgeous once it's all complete and dry. Let's move on to card number 2, which is super quick and easy. For this card here, I used the Perfect Shape stamp from Simon Says Stamp. It's a really good basic staple to have in your stash because you could use these solid stamps in so many things. To create your own background, like I'm doing right now, you can use in bold and vibrant looks, or you could also use these as frames to hold your sentiments. I'm stamping in Simon Says Stamp White Pigment ink. It's a really great white pigment ink. As you can see, it shows up really great on the back of the cardstock, but it's a really subtle look. Now because it's white pigment ink, you need to go in with a heat gun and just go ahead and dry it. That heat sets the ink into the cardstock and helps it sink in. I find that with most pigment inks, if you don't do this, even days later, it's still wet on your cardstock because it just is meant to sit on top. So it's a really good idea to just zap it with a heat gun and you're good to go. Now one of my favorite things to do these days is to add interest to a card, but to make it really subtle. So I'm taking my heart stitch die here and I'm running it through my Big Shot on the cardstock. Now this might seem like a little bit of a redundant step, but it's so much fun. I attach my card to my card base and then I'll attach the shape using some 3D foam tape. It just gives it some extra dimension as well as some more interest, but it keeps things simple. I'm going to use the same stamp set, the same sentiment one that I used for the first card, except for this time I'm going to stamp Thinking of You. I'm then simply going to cut it out using my paper trimmer and attach it to my card, just to make sure that I have that sentiment on the front of my card. I'm not doing anything special with it, I just added it to the bottom, and it's a really nice, sort of clean and simple card. Now my third and final card is going to be a very elegant card, and it's very detailed background, and I wanted to create a really simple love you card. I thought this was perfect for wedding sentiments or anything like that. This Rebecca lace background is absolutely gorgeous and is definitely one of my favorite things in this release. So I'm going to be inking it up using some Versamark ink, and I'm going to ink up the whole thing. Now because it's a background stamp, if I were to put my cardstock in the corner, it wouldn't stamp properly. So I have it so that it's 2 squares over. That does mean, however, that this stamp is not going to stamp centered, but I think I like it not centered even better than I like it centered. So I originally worried about it, and then I decided not to. So I added, this isn't white embossing powder, this is silver pearl embossing powder. It's absolutely gorgeous because it really does give off the look of pearls that sort of shine on top of white. And I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss this here, or heat melt the embossing powder, if you will, and you can see the difference when it melts so that you know when it's all ready to go. I apologize for the glare there on the background. It is really hard to film on white. Okay, so now that I have my background, I found it so detailed that I just wanted to add a simple sentiment. So I grabbed the dies that came with the stamp that I used on the last card, that heart stamp, and I had a circle in there, so I grabbed it and I cut a white heart, or a white circle rather, and then I took the Love You stamp from that Thoughtful Messages stamp that I used on all 3 cards, and I inked that up with some black ink and stamped that onto my sentiment. Now you could, of course, if you wanted to do a different type of occasion or a little less elegant of a card, go over this in distress ink, or you could add any other ink or watercolor on top of it and it would look absolutely gorgeous as well. The detail of that stamp is incredible, and if you used a fine detail embossing powder, it's really just quite amazing. Lastly, I just wanted to put some finishing touches on the card, so I attached the circle with some 3D foam tape, and then I just wanted to add a couple of those Nuvo drops like I used on the first card that I made, but I wanted to have those in sort of that silvery white as well. I think it looks really gorgeous once it's attached to the card base and has that white frame around it. I hope you enjoyed these 3 cards today and these 3 quick ideas using the Simon Says Stamp release. I'll have all the products listed below in the video description and on my blog, and don't forget to hop with us for the blog hop so you can win some great prizes. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.